everybody. All right, this is the May 29th, 2019 vlog. I'm going to try to do these as much as I can as I'm getting into, all this work, booking Europe and booking US, and then also kind of releasing two albums at the same time. So as of right now, when I'm booking Europe, this is really cool because we're up here. I'm going to do it as though I'm looking at the map. Otherwise, I'd get confused at your view. But kind of up here, we're actually starting down in Bavaria, which I'm really excited about. From there, we're shooting up to Holland. And then that's kind of where it starts. We had these awesome shows down here in Bavaria that I wanted to take. So then we're kind of doing a straight drive, probably about eight hours or so up to Holland. We've got a few up there, and then we're going to kind of bounce our way down and around back to Bavaria, into Czech Republic, which is going to be awesome, and up. And one thing that I was noticing when I was booking these shows, and that I wanted to kind of put into this vlog, was it seemed a whole lot easier to get a show, let's say, in a town like Gießen than in a town like Stuttgart. Stuttgart's like a little bit bigger. Definitely easier to get a gig in a town like Stuttgart than it was in Berlin. Now, here's the even better part. When we played in Berlin, or a town of that size, there were less people because there were more things going on. And the funniest thing is, whenever we set up a US tour, we rarely go in with that mindset until we get out to California, and that's only because I know the towns out there, easily, like we could even spend, I have a lot of followers in LA, we could easily spend so much time in LA just going from Huntington Beach to Long Beach over, to Venice, and then cut back over, jump up to Thousand Oaks, and I never really think of that, because once we get north, we'll hit San Francisco, then we'll hit, kind of Eugene, Portland, and Seattle all the way up, and I think there's something to be said for those smaller towns, and how it's going to be a little bit easier to be touring in some of those towns, and barring the right situation, you might end up getting a better crowd. Now, this is obviously a lot of DIY stuff, and especially a lot of living room stuff that out in Europe that I was doing, a lot of like living room shows. If somebody had a living room show in a small town, all of their friends would come, where if somebody had a living room show in Berlin, their friends kind of already had something to do on a Friday night. So just some ideas that I would definitely check out, see what bands are from those small, like even if you're in, even if you're in Boston, if you want to go for Boston, that's cool, but like, there's Melrose and all those smaller towns. I only know because I grew up there, but there's all those smaller towns. So something I would definitely check out. So that's on the booking part. I wanted to kind of get that out. The Instagram thing has been going really, really well. I've been doing a lot of engagement with people who are engaging with me. So like if somebody starts, liking, I immediately go and like their page. And then, like I said, going to something that you posted last that has the most engagement, and just literally messaging every person that liked it. Just sit down for a half an hour and do it. It's awesome. And I do want to say the posting is getting good. There's two people that I want to mention, because I haven't mentioned them before and I've been wanting to, is Kaylee Rose. You're doing an awesome job. I'm sure nothing that I said it was sparked anything in there. I'm just saying, Kaylee is doing great of just kind of documenting the journey into where she's going to go, which is awesome, because I think a lot of people, what they do is they hold back until they get to a certain place, and then they go. And I do have to say, there's also, Rhea, you're doing great too, because there's something to be said about the younger generation and how they're growing up with social media. So it's a little bit different for us to try to barge in, where you guys are like a little bit more natural. And I do have to say, Rhea, one thing that I like about it is adding some of the other artistic endeavors that you're doing, so it's not just a music page, even though the music part seems like that's what you are going for the most, and adding like a little bit of a different element, which also, Kaylee, your page gives so much of a personal element to it, and like we say, guys, they're going to fall in love with you as opposed to just your music. So, and that was even, I feel like that was kind of the way that it was back in the Mystique, the Mystique days were like, Led Zeppelin or bands like that, people were falling in love with Led Zeppelin. And that was also because they were unattainable, and now being attainable and kind of allowing this personal boundary. Also comes to another point is internet safety. So I know a lot of, this is way more of a problem. I don't even know. I haven't heard of a case where it's a problem for a guy, but I'm sure there are a few out there. But this is definitely a problem for girls. I know this because one of my bands, La Capitania, has a it's just a duo, me and a female singer, and it just people get a little weird. So always being careful and making sure that you're reporting anything that starts getting a little bit strange, especially for you younger kids, because you want to be personable and you want to be open. And that sends some people the wrong signals. So there's definitely, if anybody wants a little bit more advice about how to word certain things where you're making it like, yeah, you can ask me anything, but like I'm definitely gonna keep a distance. I'm always making sure that you're kind of keeping a distance with new people. The reason that I'm bringing that up into the next segment of this vlog is I stumbled upon something on Facebook that is incredibly valuable. I wasn't going to tell anybody because I don't necessarily want this to get out, but I will tell you guys. My one band was really big on the kind of American Southern California-ish reggae scene. We were touring with a lot of those bands, and then we had stopped. Kind of went into a little bit more of a punk rock direction, and then the new record that we're putting out is going to go back in that direction. So we started tapping more into that crowd. What I started to notice was on my personal Facebook page, my personal one, there were all of the suggested people, suggested people you may know. I think it's the people you may know. And also the friend request that I was getting was all from this gigantic pool of people all around the U.S. that were into that kind of music. So I started friending them all, and we were all kind of posting. We all had like a ton of mutual friends. Eventually, got them over to my band page. I can reach out to each one of them, when the Kickstarter happens or whatever. And that was an idea when I had a client that I was stressing, because what you could do is, let's say I want to take an artist like I always do, smaller than Taylor Swift, someone that's just got a little bit more of a, I don't want to say a cult following, it doesn't have to be that small, but going to one of their fan groups. So, this particular person we were talking about, Bon Iver, and it's going to Bon Iver fans, like a fan group on Facebook, asking to be added to part of the group, jumping in and, jumping in and doing some conversations, posting some cool videos that you took, or some, videos that you like of him. And then from there, start adding some people from that group. And then, messaging them and saying like, hey, I'm a huge fan, but I'm also a musician. Come check out my page. That's going to be as personal as we try to be on Instagram. But the other reason that's really beneficial is nobody's doing that on Facebook, because the Facebook pages make it impossible to message people. So nobody is really thinking to do it on a personal side. Now, the two things is you could, we were lucky enough, my band Among Criminals, I did a Facebook page where our first name is Among and our second name is Criminals, which Facebook will shut that down if they figure it out, because you're not supposed to have bands or businesses on a personal page, because that means you can go out and message people and they don't want that. So I have to be very careful about that. But what I don't like about this idea is the same thing that we're talking about with kind of female harassment on the internet, is you're easily attainable, and the best thing to do is just start another Facebook where you're not in touch with your friends and your family and your grandmother and your aunts and your cousins and all that stuff, and just start one completely different. I know that a few people did that. They just did it because they capped at 5,000 friends and they needed to move on to another page. But just something where, in case anything happens, you don't put any personal information up there, and you can get rid of that page immediately. The only reason is I think that's a very valuable thing, but the call that I was having was a guy, a male my age, so I wasn't really worried about that. So if I'm going to give this information, I definitely want to make sure that people are being safe out there. So yeah, that is it. That is my, May 29th, is that what I said? vlog. I love you guys, and let me know if there's something I can help you with. See ya.